Free individuals against all tyranny. This is Thinking Liberty. It's June 15th, 2010, and we are live on thinkingliberty.net.
Woohoo!
Are we ready to rumble?
I think we are fully prepared to rumble.
Fully prepared to rumble.
You want to announce who's in here right now?
Who's in here right now? That's what comes next. We're getting
That
this
is
down.
the second thing on the agenda. Agenda.
So, I am Darian Warden. You can read about me at my website, DarianWarden.com. I'm an individualist writer, and I write at DarianWarden.com, C4SS.org. So check that out. That other guy there, that's Bosco, and he blogs at blogofbile.com. Bile over there on the computers, say hello.
Hello.
He also blogs at blogofbile.com.
Hello.
Tennyson's going to be a little late, but we do have our sound person / commentator, Lore,
Hello.
and she will add sounds and comments, we hope.
Our sound person? Like that. Wonderful sounds like that.
All right, so this is an interactive broadcast. Bosco, how can people interact with us?
If you get on thinkingliberty.net, there is like a whole host of ways. See, we've got Bile, and he's like the most technical person ever. So, all right, here's the short list. On thinkingliberty.net, there's a chat room. You can get in the chat room there. It's an IRC chat room, and there's a web client on there. There's a phone number also up there on the right-hand side of Thinking Liberty. Anybody know it off the top of their head?
What was the question?
Bile's looking it up. The phone
It's
number?
like 88NoGov or something.
Yeah, it
I
ends
don't
in
know.
no gov. We don't know our own phone
911.
number.
I never called a show.
All right, so you can call us. You can contact us on Skype at Thinking Liberty. You can follow us on Twitter at Think in Liberty. That's Think N Liberty. You can email us at contact@thinkingliberty.net. No carrier pigeon yet, but I think I covered all of them.
All right, well, what's something that we hope people email us? The show promotion contest.
Yeah. Oh, that's an awesome contest.
All right.
You can win awesome things.
You can win awesome things, an autographed copy of Bringing Gun to School Day, a shirt,
T-shirts.
also autographed, I guess, because
Sure.
we can do that. and some other stuff that might be awesome.
Yeah, or
I might
might
be able
not.
to throw in some Armor for Activists merch too.
Oh,
there you go.
fantastic.
Something special.
This just keeps getting better and better.
So participate,
Might be
participate,
getting better
participate,
and better.
participate.
What you got to do, you got to promote Thinking Liberty somehow. You could write messages in chalk. You could write things on shirts. You could, do all sorts.
Carve it into your arm.
You could carve it into your arm. But please don't initiate force on any other person while you're doing this. Once you do that, take a photo or video and send it to our email address, contact@thinkingliberty.net. It'll be right on our website. And you could win prizes that we just mentioned. You will be judged. Your entries, not you specifically, but what you give us, will be judged on exposure, how many people we can expect saw it, on creativity, how wacky of an idea was it, and on chutzpah, how bad of an idea was it, but you did it anyway, because you got chutzpah.
Chutzpah is a good category. That's like awesomenessitude. I appreciate that category. I like to think I'm the kind of person who wins for chutzpah. Makes everybody, just kind of shake their head, and they're like, "Oh God, what is he doing?
Not again.
Oh, he's still doing it. Oh, this is just a terrible idea."
That's what people usually say about you anyway.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
So,
Could be anything.
remember everybody, next week's show is going to be on Monday, the 21st, same time, 8 o'clock, but because of Pork Fest, we aren't going to be in the studio on Tuesday.
What is Pork Fest?
Pork Fest is the annual campout done by the Free State Project. It's up in New Hampshire. There's going to be tons of awesome people up there who are all concerned about liberty. You're going to have great conversations, great fun, great times. It'll be great.
Does it involve pork?
I could involve pork. The one pot cook-off will be there. I don't remember there being any pork last year, but it involves porcupines.
Yeah, that's where pork comes from, porcupine.
So one person who's going to be there, we hope, James Babb. He's going to be on the show tonight. Keep listening. He'll be on about 20 minutes into the show. So that's our announcements for today. So why don't we get started?
Okay, sounds good. What's first on the agenda? Is it the loud reggaeton outside the window? Because I like talking about reggaeton.
That was pretty intense. That made a statement. That music coming through by the window there. I don't know if you heard that on the air, but what we got today? Julian Heiklin. He got arrested again, but was released the same day. Fortunately, so I was actually a witness to this arrest. It was, the guy, he pretty much knows he's going to get arrested. He does things that are ticketable offenses, but he doesn't comply with the officers. So they basically drag him away.
Where was he?
He was in front of the courthouse at 500 Pearl Street in downtown Manhattan. So basically on a sidewalk claimed by the federal government, he has been handing out jury information, or attempting to hand out information on the right of jurors to acquit if the law is bad, to try the law as well as the fact.
FIJA.org.
Yeah, Fully Informed Jury Association literature. And he was given this out, and he was told he couldn't do that. So he wasn't going to comply with that, went limp, and was dragged off. Yesterday, a few activists came from Philadelphia, and I came over from New Jersey to join him. And we were with them, and as soon as we crossed the street, we heard Officer Barnes, Biles' nemesis. He's got a mustache, right, Officer Barnes?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mr. Mustache here. He was like, "Oh, this is going to be interesting," as we walked by. So we decided to wait for another person who was supposed to come. So Barnes is just like standing there in the street, like staring at us, and like and Julian's like, "Oh, this guy's chomping at the bit to like to
Was he
arrest
licking
us."
his lips? Was he like,
He might have been, but we were. So then we go with a group of people. There was myself, Julian, James Babb was there, and there were 4 other individuals. And we're walking up there. I just get out my phone to do a Twitter message. Pamphlets out, as in Julian starting to pamphlet. And before I could finish thumb typing that, like 7 guys in suits surround Julian, and a bunch of uniformed officers form like a larger ring and get in front of us. So I start typing Julian arrested. And basically, these guys came up. They said, "We're U.S. Marshals. We have a warrant for your arrest." And Julian went limp and did not comply. And they dragged him into an unmarked black van with regular New York license plates, not even government license plates,
did
and
they
then brought
did
him
they
to the
cuff him
courthouse.
first and then like pick him up? How'd they do it?
I couldn't quite see. Officer Barnes was standing very aggressively in front of me, like he was like had his hands on his hips, all like leaned over as I'm standing there twittering, like he was like trying to get me to like
Come
do
on,
something.
punk, make my day.
Yeah,
kind of,
like some shit talking high school jock, basically.
one too many Dirty Harry movies, sort of.
So he's standing there thinking his mustache makes him a tough guy, and
let's not impugn mustaches by comparing them to cops, please. Mustaches are better than that.
all right. Well, I don't like Officer Barnes here, so he was there, and I'm staying there tweeting this, and it was a little hard to see what was going on, and but I believe they did like pull him, like several guys were just like kind of pulling him, like they picked him up and his feet were dragging, kind of. I didn't see whether he was cuffed then or later, but Julian put out an email, which what's his name? Who does the Libertarian Examiner article?
Gary Reed.
Yeah, Gary Reed has Julian's full report. He was handcuffed for a while. He was non-compliant, brought to the hospital, put in a cell, with no bathroom, and just
It's
just
a
bad treatment.
real rough report to read. Like I had some trouble reading. I read it on Blog of Bile, and yeah, I mean it just sounds absolutely horrible. So basically, what he did was all non-compliant style stuff. So he just didn't talk. He wasn't aggressive or anything like that, and he had people cursing at him, and he had people basically threaten to beat him up and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, dude, what is this guy doing to possibly warrant that kind of abuse?
He's in the way. He's these tough guy prison guards. They want someone to abuse, and that Julian's there, and he's the target of
part of me
verbal
thinks though, like
abusers.
the prison guards or authority figures in general, they've got to be a little bit scared of that. They've got to be scared of unflinching non-compliance, because if you have that, the system doesn't work. So if you're looking at somebody like Julian who's just like, you know what, I refuse to comply with what you're doing because I think it's immoral. I think part of the reason they overreact so much is because they're scared of it. They're thinking deep down in the back of their minds, well, what if everybody did that? Well, then it would be anarchy, and it would be so awful.
I
in their
think
minds.
that's possible. I think also is that they can get away with doing certain things. I think the officers were concerned that they couldn't just punch an old man in the ribs. So Julian's how old? Like in his 70s. They can't just punch him in the ribs and expect people to believe that he started it, especially when there's video evidence of him being nonviolent. But yeah, non-compliance. It's the way Julian goes. But let's keep in mind he did have a warrant out for his arrest for not paying these citations, and he spent time in prison because of it. And this isn't something that you should do lightly. Like if you're gonna, I'm not saying you shouldn't do this by any means, but you got to look. Probably even email Julian, and get some pointers from.
He's
from
got
him.
like 210 emails in his inbox right now. He says he'll get back to you eventually. What were his citations for? Anybody know? Like failure to appear.
Failure to appear.
Likely.
And it's basically he's been cited for giving stuff out on federal property, and he's not supposed to be doing that. They probably charge him with disorderly conduct or
Right, but
resisting.
if there was a warrant out, it was likely related to him not showing up for court back in February.
So,
Yeah, bummer.
So
But
that's
hey, props to Julian Hanklin.
So afterwards, the folks who weren't arrested when we were talking, and we decided that since James had a large number of fully informed jury association pamphlets, we're going to hand them out somewhere. There's a city park that's right near all that federal wasteland down there, so we gave them out in the city park. Maybe James will talk a little more about that, but we had no problems except for a couple of nosy cops asking why one of the activists' young sons was there filming, but they were skillfully handled, respectfully, not they weren't knuckled under too. That James and the other individual were respectfully, not complying with their demands to identify where they're from and all this. They answered the questions they felt they needed to, and the police left the area.
Hey, there's a win.
All right, so I want to talk before we go to our break a little bit about a brave hero who needs our support. Bradley Manning. We've talked about it on the show before. He is allegedly the man who leaked the video that made it on the Collateral Murder website of helicopter crews giggling about gunning down children. So he got in trouble for basically talked to the wrong person, who then turned him in, and now he's in custody. So unlike the individuals who tortured people, waterboarded, attacked civilians intentionally, laughed about it, and all, this man is the one who actually sheds light on what's going on, is the one in trouble.
Isn't there some more fallout from this? I heard, wasn't the Pentagon or somebody throwing their weight behind a big probe into WikiLeaks?
WikiLeaks, they're definitely in some hot water. Some people have speculated that the U.S. is going after the founder of WikiLeaks. I don't know what's behind that besides speculation. There was a report that WikiLeaks leaked that WikiLeaks posted. They didn't leak it. They post leaks that other people leak. Yes, and
it goes on WikiLeaks.
Yes, people leak things. It goes on WikiLeaks.
WikiLeaks, which has a 100% maintaining the anonymity of their sources rating.
Yeah, and that's WikiLeaks.org, and so they had this report on there that it was from the military that WikiLeaks could be a threat to national security. So we don't know what they might be doing in terms of attacking Julian.
Well, I think it's the same. It's the same fallout from the same thing. So they're worried about what this guy leaked. So they're worried that there's further stuff that WikiLeaks hasn't published, and that's part of the reason I think that the Pentagon is so concerned. Whatever the information is, I have no idea what it is.
Now, the individual who reported Bradley to the to government, yes, Lamo, he said that people, this is stuff that could result in people being hurt or killed, but U.S. foreign policy results in people being hurt and killed, and it's based on lies, brutality, and covered-up shootings.
Yeah, secrecy.
So, really, you have to take the side of one or the other if you're put in this situation. Do you support the U.S. war machine, or do you support someone blowing the whistle on them? And
that's a good point.
The choice that was made by Lamo was to support the war machine.
I think you could make a pretty strong utility argument that if you had complete transparency, there would be a lot less death in general than if you didn't have transparency.
Oh, yeah, because, there's always this attempt to distance yourself from the death and the violence that you're responsible for. Say it was the other guy's fault. I was following orders. We have this command structure in the place. We'll pass off blame from one to the other, and I'm just doing what someone in my uniform's supposed to do.
Baffle.
What's that?
Orders is orders.
Yeah. So, but like Nuremberg trials established, following orders is no excuse. The individual has a conscience. And as Thoreau said, why does the individual have a conscience if he was not meant to use it? So Bradley Manning used his conscience, a soldier we can support. So check out the website at bradleymanning.org. It's has some news updates and some supporter attempts for it. It's a new website. It's bradleymanning.org, BradleyManning.org.
Okay.
So
Cool.
support a brave individual, and check out also Iraq Veterans Against the War and CourageToResist.org.
Oh, one more thing you should tack onto that little agenda list that you're waving. I actually remembered to bring my. I didn't have time to make a promo this week, but I did have time to come up with a figure out who this person is game again.
Okay,
So we've
and
got
it's going
that
to be
to
good
play.
this time.
It's going to be good this time because if Bile guesses it in 2, I'm going to beat him to death live with the microphone. You will hear every thump until the condenser mic goes out. Be
Bio
very
has
exciting.
consented to this by
Exactly.
being in the room.
Yes.
All right. So,
Oh, and also, I remember last show I asked if people wanted questions from non-anarchists or if they wanted this game. Well, due to the overwhelming amount of responses I got, I had to choose this game. So, participate.
all right. So we're going to take a break in a moment here and get James Babb on the line. We're going to talk with him about some activism he's involved with in Delaware Valley area, some of his thoughts on what went down yesterday and the environment surrounding this place. And after that, we're going to talk maybe about some Center for a Stateless Society stuff, some minarchism and anarchism, Ryan's Who Am I game, and whatever else we get into. We'll take your calls, and we'll go from there. So keep it here on thinkingliberty.net. We're going to roll out to break, and then we're going to come back in with James Babb.
Funny how secrets travel. I start to believe if I was in need, in sky the man shaves his hands held high, a cruise beyond, cruise me, babe. A blonde leaf beyond, beyond, lonely dawn, no return. I'm
All right, we are back on thinkingliberty.net. It is June 15th, 2010, the 2-year birthday of two special cats, from what I've heard. So, happy birthday to Ozzy and Ellie. All right.
And we've got James on.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, so we have James Babb, a Delaware Valley activist from Pennsylvania. Would you like to just introduce yourself to our audience, James?
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me. It's good to talk with you. I'm a libertarian/anarchist here in the Philadelphia area. I sort of began my libertarian journey maybe about 10 years ago when I started sort of paying attention to what was going on, and I found the Libertarian Party, started getting involved with libertarians and learning more, and basically just evolved to where I saw less and less need for the state, and to where the point of a few years ago I realized I'm just a complete anarchist because there was nothing left that I thought that the state could do. So basically here I am as a libertarian anarchist, and I try to do a little bit of activism to basically help expose the illegitimacy of the state and the politicians.
Okay, well, thanks a lot for joining us today. You were there yesterday with myself and Julian. What was your impressions from what went on yesterday?
Well, the first thing I noticed when I got there was that federal courthouse was very different from any of the ones we'd been at before.
And you were doing Fully Informed Jury Association outreach with Julian at other courthouses. Prior to
Correct.
this.
From Philadelphia, Allentown, Trenton. These are the places that I had been familiar with, and these places seem so nice and friendly. Even the thugs in Allentown seemed almost cuddly by comparison.
Wow.
Like the whole area, or just the people, or?
Well, I just found the whole vibe to be sort of just a karmic black hole with dozens and dozens of federal agents and cop cars and unmarked cars and barricades, and it was just really created a sort of a state of anxiety that was much different than the others for me. And to be surrounded by these huge Gothic buildings, the set seems sort of like Jack Bauer had invaded a Batman movie, perhaps. Just kind of a scary vibe. So when I realized that this is where Julian had been going over and over and over and over again, I had even more respect for his courage.
Well, that's why this is Bile here. That's why I've been so not put off, but concerned that I haven't been able to get anyone for the past couple months to go into New York, because relative to all the other outreach that Julian had done, it seemed that ours was the most hostile. And so, it's great that 5 people show up to a peaceful rally, but when he's being taken away in cuffs and dragged across the cement, that's where I'd rather have the 5 people with me. And so I'm very happy that more people from the New York area decided to go out yesterday, especially since I couldn't be there.
Okay, yeah.
We need a lot of people there.
Yeah, I mean, this whole area, there's just roadblocks, Homeland Security, SUVs driving around, guys saluting each other as they go through barricades. It's really nuts.
Crazy. I know the city's kind of nuts. You for me, you hop off the train, and it's just like, oh, cop car, and 9 times out of 10, I'm in there with Bile, and I'm just like, dude, this is crazy. And Bile's like, nope, this is normal.
It does depend where you go, but yeah, it is
if you guys are talking about a particularly bad place, where James and Darian, where you were yesterday, I can only imagine. That's got to be awful.
So yeah, I mean, I guess we do need to get more people there. So James, you're involved in some activism. Were you involved in getting people out to Allentown and Philadelphia with Julian?
Yes. Yeah, we used our meetup networks and Facebook networks to coordinate that, and we use the same thing to try to get a few people up to New York, and I think we can do that a little bit better. We didn't really have a lot of notice about this. When Julian basically got out of jail, he's like, okay, I'm out, and I'm going back on Monday. So
Yeah, he's definitely a lead by doing kind of guy. You know, he does stuff and then lets everybody else know. So it's hard to keep up sometimes. But I like that idea. You know, you mentioned you use Facebook. You said Meetup.com is something you've used.
Oh, sure. We have a meetup, actually, in the Philadelphia area, we have about 6 different meetups for different liberty groups. We have, some are Ron Paul leftover meetups. We have libertarian meetups. There's one, Truth, Freedom, and Prosperity has a meetup. There's a lot of different groups with some overlap, but basically when we have something important, I can put it out on 4 or 5 different meetups in the area and have at least 600 or 700 people become aware of something. So it really helps getting the word out.
That's awesome.
So basically, you have all these online networks that you're using, not so much to form a cohesive group, but to get people together who might be interested in a specific event. Am I thinking of this correctly, or?
Sure. Like, for instance, when we had a recent rally in Allentown where George Donnelly was abducted, I put that out on all the different meetup groups, and people came from all over the area from each of those groups. A lot of people are on multiple groups, but it's a great way of reaching people in sort of a broader freedom community, or there's basically a lot of different freedom communities. So I try to tap into as many of those as I can, and you combine that with Facebook, and these are really amazing tools that it makes it pretty easy to put together any kind of activism on short notice.
Oh, interesting.
So I want to shift a little bit here. You sounds like you've been kind of involved in libertarian politics for a little while. I was wondering, are there any recommendations as to approaches that you found to be successful or productive in getting more people to be receptive to libertarian ideas?
That's a good question. I wish I could say I was always successful, but a lot of times, we do things and we reach out to people and we educate people, but it's hard to measure the success. One of the things that I like about the Fully Informed Jury outreach is I believe this is something that appeals to a very wide group of people, from conservatives, liberals, libertarians, anarchists. Everyone can agree that juries really need to regain their rightful position, and that the justice system is in shambles right now. So this is something that I found has been very easy to get a lot of people interested in, and it's something that's pretty easy for people to understand when you start talking about it with them. Once people start to once people kind of peer into the empire, or you lift the lid and you look under there to see what it's made of, people start realizing that it's all bull. It starts unraveling. The tapestry of state power begins to disintegrate. So I look for anything that basically just gives people a glimpse of what's really going on. So anything that lends itself to that is something that I want to get involved in. We did a rally, Darian, I know you remembered, it was we had an eminent domain problem. We still have it in Abington here in Pennsylvania, where they are taking a old lady's property for a library that is totally redundant and not needed, and just basically it's just theft. And we use this to basically expose the nature of government. What do? They steal. That's all they can do. And we got a lot of people interested in that, and they're still interested. We have additional events coming up on that because the case goes on and on. But that was a great opportunity to sort of teach people. Well, what does the government do? Well, they like to take stuff from a little old lady. And when people see that, even if they don't necessarily understand the full ramifications, it starts to tug away at their image of state power.
Okay, so it sounds like maybe getting involved in a local issue, showing that you care about it, that you have a certain perspective on it, and then kind of bring people into your perspective, like how this relates to the whole nature of the state and its politics, is something that has been useful.
When you can, and it's a one-on-one type of thing. But when they realize that you're principled and that you're sincere, and that you're talking about the issue that they care about, and you have the truth on your side, you have a lot more credibility to helping them sort of see the bigger picture. But I guess I should say maybe the most important type of activism that I believe in is what we do in our own families. So there's not a whole lot I can do to change people's minds, around the world. But what I certainly can have influence on are my own children. And I have a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old. My most important job is to keep them out of government school and to try to raise them as critical thinkers and believers in reason and evidence, and to challenge authority. So this is certainly my biggest, you could call it activism, and I think if we all spend time working on our own families, that's probably one of the best paths that we have towards improving freedom in this country, is if we all just look at the way we're raising our own children. So I think that is certainly a big area that shouldn't be overlooked. I think the path to really changing our culture, really making a long-lasting difference, is in our own families.
Okay, Ryan's got a response. I just want to introduce Tennyson is now in the studio. He has a longer drive. Well,
it took definitely a little bit longer to get here than it ordinarily does, but I'm here, so it's good.
I've got a question for you about homeschooling, about what you said about families. How would you counter the argument? What if you were talking to somebody about that and they said, well, that's a lot of time. Homeschooling takes a whole lot of time, and I just don't have that much time. I spend, more time working. That's very difficult for me. What would you say to someone who countered with that?
Well, there's still private schools. A lot of people don't have time for homeschooling. We do a combination in our family of home education and private school. So people say, well, I can't afford that. I've got 2 SUVs and a summer home. How am I going to pay for private school? It really just becomes a matter of priorities. I certainly don't have a lot of extra cash, but I consider it a top priority. And we have a lot of sort of a la carte type education things that we like to do with our kids, like a Spanish immersion program that they've both done since they could barely walk. Just extra things. You don't have to actually teach everything yourself all the time. So there are a lot of resources available to help, but really it just takes a mentality that says, there's no way I'm handing over my pride and joy to the bureaucracy of the state. I'm not going to let them be raised by a criminal enterprise. And I think once people make that commitment, once people realize that, when you send your kid off to a government school, you're sending them into a place that's going to hurt them. Once you realize that, you just can't do it. So the options will present themselves as long as people realize that they have a choice and how much is at stake.
Yeah, I don't think it's not a particularly hard sell for most people either, because you're talking about it's a matter of priorities. And when you frame it as a matter of priorities, basically you're saying, okay, well, how important are your children to you? And people have got to kind of evaluate that. And I think anybody who looks at that sensibly says, that they've got to be one of the most important things in your life.
So
you would think so.
Yeah. So it sounds like one thing that we can get from this conversation is that activism doesn't have to be something that's like a separate part of your life that's kind of, over on the side, and it's something you do in your spare time. The changes that you make can be done on a day-to-day basis in your everyday life.
Yeah,
I would
agree.
hope so.
I've got another question for you, actually, since you were talking about meetups earlier. Are you seeing more people at the meetups, and what kind of new people are you seeing? If you are seeing new people there, what's who are the people that are being attracted to this kind of thing now?
I guess there's a lot of different kinds. I see people coming in, like we have a libertarian meetup. It's basically our Montgomery County Libertarian Party meetup, and we have a meetup called the Valley Forge Revolutionaries, and we have meetings that coincide. So we'll have the same meeting advertised on both meetup groups, but it's really two different sides of things. One is more of a non-political. People are just looking for some type of alternative or some kind of different ways to challenge the state, and the Libertarian Party attracts people that are more interested in political solutions. So in both we get, I'd say there's sort of some Tea Party type people, or people that have seen Glenn Beck. These people are sort of like, well, what's going on here? People that are just starting to figure out that, wait a minute, something's not right, and they're just trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together.
Okay,
and then there's also a lot. I mean, there are a lot of libertarian people that have no interest in the Libertarian Party. They have no interest necessarily even in a lot of what we think of as our traditional type of activism. But if you can sort of make contact with them on something specific, they come out with, capabilities and resources and enthusiasm like I've never seen before. So you never know who's out there. We just try to make things as public as possible, and new people always show up. New people are always finding it. If you're doing something cool, people want to be part of that.
Interesting.
All right, that's cool. I want to give back a little bit to jury nullification. I mean, it's certainly a great thing. But I would be careful not to focus too much on it, because it seems like if you don't have enough people who have kind of a libertarian sentiment, then then the jury nullification isn't going to matter. So it's kind of like you got to do that, and then also just the general principles that other people aren't there as means to your ends. Individual rights are the most important thing, and that they're the basis for a cooperative and peaceful society. So that's not like a criticism of doing jury nullification outreach, but I just think that it's important sometimes to keep these things in perspective, which it sounds like all of us are doing. So just a note.
Sure. I mean, jury nullification is a tool that can be used for good or for bad. But it is hopefully something that if we want to give that out to basically as many people as possible, like you said, also if we can help them understand some basic principles along the way, that's going to help. But I think if we can, just empower people, I think people sort of have a sense already of some basic right and wrong, that a guy sitting at home watching The Simpsons smoking a joint is not a threat to anybody. And once they realize that, wait a minute, you mean I don't have to send him to jail and take him away from his family? They're relieved to have an option.
That man is a severe threat to a bag of Cheetos. He could really do some damage to those Cheetos.
Yeah. So that's very true. And when we think of the jury nullification, that's a concrete example of where it could be used for good if enough people are going to take a stand and say, I'm not going to be complicit in caging a person who has done no wrong. So that's really the mentality that we have to promote along with the tools.
Yeah, I mean, I worry about it a lot, because I think when it comes to FIJA type stuff, are you subverting the rule of law? Are you replacing it with basically a tyranny of the majority, but now the majority is a jury? And when I look at the law as it currently is, I pretty much see no instance of that happening. I really see no jury in their right mind looking at, becoming more tyrannical because of this, because the laws are already pretty damn bad.
That's true. But, I mean, historically, all those bad things that have happened jury nullification could still happen if it's a sufficiently determined minority who happens to get onto the jury and wants to see a certain conclusion. So maybe there's a little bit of apprehension with jury nullification.
Well, that's why I think it's important, as we were saying, to get the general principles out there as
Absolutely.
well. So
Yeah.
I think done a good job of that. James, we've taken up a bit of your time here. Is there anything else you want to talk about before we move on with the program?
Well, no, but maybe I'll just throw out a couple websites if that's okay.
Oh, that's great.
Please do.
Let's go.
We have for anyone that's in the Philadelphia area, the Valley Forge Revolutionaries URL is meetup.com/Valley Forge Revolution. And
Okay.
if anyone's interested in the Libertarian Party in the area, it's montcolp.org. So it's montcolp.org.
Okay.
And there's another group that is really interesting we have here called it's called Truth, Prosperity, and Freedom, which their URL is truth-freedom-prosperity.ws. And this is it's more than a 9/11 truth group, but that is one of their focus. But they have a Third Monday movie series in Wayne in a great theater, in a classic old-fashioned theater. They do regular movies. This on the third Monday of every month. Generation RX is the one coming up. They always have something interesting playing there, and this is just one of the cool things that they do. So those are three groups for anybody that's in the area.
In Wayne, New Jersey?
Wayne, Pennsylvania.
Wayne, PA.
Wayne,
All
New
right.
Jersey.
I don't know. I'm trying to pinpoint this area.
So I guess a couple more things. Since you brought it up, what's like your general take on, I guess, the 9/11 truth people, different ideas out
Those
there.
people.
And so I guess if I could get your general impression of.
Sure. Well, I'm a skeptic. I certainly don't believe what the government tells me. I'm also very critical of some of the more wild theories that I have, but I think people need to be asking these questions, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to be ashamed of, saying, wait a minute, I want to know what's going on here. I'm pretty sure there's you can basically narrow 9/11 down to one of three things. Either A, it was an inside job, probably unlikely, but I don't know. Two, it was something that was perpetrated by bad people, but the government was complacent because they wanted an opportunity to implement their tyranny. Much more likely. Or three, it was just pure blowback from U.S. government foreign policy. Either way, the federal government's responsible, so it doesn't really concern me which of the three it is, because I know they're to blame for that.
Okay, and
Does that make any sense?
yeah,
good.
I'd like to add too that the government's also to blame for fostering this culture of helplessness, where we're supposed to let the proper authorities take care of our safety, and then just kind of let people take over the plane and then do whatever they're going to do. There's
Absolutely.
that. And I mean, like the thing is, if there was let's say you're a government bureaucrat and your incompetence or just lack of proper diligence led to a crime, it contribute to the success of September 11th, you would probably cover it up too. If you were someone who had something to do with that. So, it's good to ask questions. I just hope people don't get caught on some of the more wilder, ideas that are out there.
Yeah, you got to be skeptical. I mean, be skeptical of the government. Be skeptical of anything. Say, show me the evidence, and just keep asking questions. If you're asking questions, then you're on the path to getting the truth, whatever that may be.
Okay, and another thing, could I guess a little bit unrelated. Could I get your opinion on the Libertarian Party, since I know you mentioned you're involved with them? Just your general thoughts on the party and It's what you feel its role is and its success or failures.
Very good question, and honestly, I'm not sure. I think the jury's still out. It was a very dark period coming out of the last presidential race with Bob Barr, supposedly the guy that represents the Libertarian Party, former CIA, drug warrior, congressman, voted for Patriot Act, voted for the wars. I don't know, what do you need a Libertarian Party for if you're going to be promoting guys like that? So at that point it was really a dark time. Are they turning things around a little bit? Maybe. They certainly seem to be on a little bit more even keel right now after this last convention, which I went to in St. Louis. I think they're still treading water. They're not exactly out of danger, but they didn't get sucked under. So we'll see. I think that the Libertarian Party could be an excellent vehicle to educate people and to free minds. There's people that are out there using it for that, and I think that's great. Will they start getting elected in serious offices? Well, of course not. That's not. I don't really see that as their job. Their job, I think, is to use the electoral system for all the free advertising that comes with it. I ran for office myself 2 times for state rep, and because I had no illusions about trying to capture a majority of votes, I was able to use the television and radio and newspaper exposure to say what needed to be said, as opposed to saying the things that very special interest groups are going to want to hear. So I'm not a fan of politics at all. I think it's disgusting. I don't recommend voting. I think that's a corrupt enterprise. But if you want to use it to free minds, I say go for it. I'm not one of these people that'll say, "Oh, you're immoral for even considering it." Anything you do to free minds is okay with me.
Okay.
Amen to that.
Something I wanted to ask, so I didn't actually go down to the Libertarian Convention this year. Not that I've ever been in any past year, but just pointing out specifically this year. What exactly were the results for I'm going to use the word infiltrators or non-libertarians at the Libertarian Party? See, specifically Wayne Allen Root. I mean, how did he do in the end?
Well, he basically was denied the chairmanship, thank God. He did have quite a few supporters.
Yeah.
When it came to people's first choice, he had the most support.
Imagine that.
But it requires a majority to win, and he was nobody's second choice. So there was another 4 or 5 candidates of more genuine libertarians that once people kind of sorted out which of them was going to be the most popular, then which ended up being Mark Hinkle, he easily defeated Root.
Okay.
So when you sort of put the libertarians versus the sort of conservative libertarian-ish Tea Party type people, the libertarians won. So that's why I think I'm not going to call the end of the Libertarian Party yet, because they still hold to their principles sometimes. And to their credit, there was a motion made on the floor to basically condemn the imprisonment of Julian Heiklin and George Donnelly.
Oh, okay.
And I was a little bit unsure, how much people knew about the situation. The floor erupted in applause. Jay Edgar from New Jersey made the motion. He couldn't even finish it because of the cacophony in the room. They basically, the room they roared in support of Julian and George. I couldn't even, I was stunned at how vehement the party voiced their opinion on that matter. So I think that spoke very well for the group.
Well, that's heartening. It at least gives some hope that there are people of sense still left in the Libertarian Party. Something else I wanted to ask, Libertarian Party related, is what exactly has the Libertarian Party done in response to the imposition of sanctions upon Iran, or the vote for sanctions toward Iran? Have they come out and directly condemned the entire thing, or any movement towards war with Iran?
I haven't heard anything recently. That doesn't mean they haven't done something.
That's true.
But it's not really the place where the Libertarian Party can be effective. I mean, the libertarians are really more effective at the individual level. So it'd be nice if they came out with some bold statement.
It certainly would.
Condemning it, but would it really
you know.
even mean anything? I don't know. They certainly should, obviously. And in the past, sometimes they come out with strong statements. Sometimes they come out with these mealy-mouthed, wishy-washy, compromise things.
Yes.
I'm not sure where they are right now.
See, you figure people that call themselves the party of principle, it just seems like they might take stands on things like that, but I don't know. I'm no LP guy anymore.
Going to war with an entire nation of people that have never done anything to us.
I gotta
That's
grab
gotta
a
be a
towel
challenge.
to wipe all of this sarcasm off of Tennyson. It's just it's getting on the couch. It's dripping everywhere.
Oh gosh. Oh, the LP. They had some good folks. I'm not too mad at
There's
them.
still great people. I don't want to say involved in it, but definitely going to the convention.
Oh, yeah.
Like you mentioned with the cheering, that's a great sign. So I'm with you, James, in that I think there's value in it. It shouldn't be your only thing, but there's definitely value in it.
Okay.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was just going to say the libertarian movement is huge, and it's so much bigger than the Libertarian Party. It's surging ahead with or without the LP. The LP will either get back on the horse and come along for the ride, or they'll just get left behind. It really doesn't even necessarily matter that much because our job basically stays the same either way.
Okay. Before we move on, do you have any comments you want to add on George Donnelly and maybe any updates on his situation?
Yeah, what's going on there?
Well, he's still under house arrest. He is not allowed to contact me directly due to the condition of his house arrest. So, which is kind of unfortunate because I was a witness, basically. But my wife has been in contact with him, and from what I've learned, he has an initial appearance hearing on June 21st. For anyone that's in the Allentown area and would like to attend, it's at 10:30 a.m. on June 21st at the Allentown Federal Court, the place where they kidnapped him. So, yeah, really impartial venue, of course. I don't know what is going to happen at an initial appearance hearing. What they should do is, of course, drop all charges immediately. Not expecting that to happen, but I'm not, I'm no legal expert by any means. But if I was George's attorney, I would demand charges be dropped immediately. They have not produced any of the video, either George's camera or the security camera from the courtyard where they attacked him, and they got nothing to stand on. And they've submitted 2 affidavits signed by the same guy with 2 different stories on it. They sent in one, and then they said, "Oh, okay, we're dropping that one. Here's a new one."
They needed
with
a
a totally
do-over.
different story. Yeah, like you know what? We realize that's not going to fly after we watch the video. Let's see if you believe this. It's ridiculous.
It's pretty ridiculous, but more people get to see exactly the shenanigans that goes on in the official state court system all the time. So maybe we'll get people to lose a little bit of faith in the this terrible monopoly court system that doesn't really serve anybody. It's systematized injustice.
I hope
call
so.
it.
George Donnelly, for any of our any of our new listeners, George Donnelly was basically assaulted. Well, not basically, he was assaulted, by I guess it was the Federal Protective Service. No, was it?
Federal Marshals.
Federal Marshals, while trying to film someone pamphleting in front of a courthouse in Allentown. He was tackled to the ground, and then he has been charged with assault, and they're changing their story. So check that out at George Donnelly.
It's a bad deal when there's so many police forces that you have trouble keeping one straight from the other. The federal... Oh, no, that was the... It wasn't the...
It wasn't the ABC. It was the BDF.
Yeah, of course.
It was the DEA. No, not the DEA.
Oh no, it was that
Running
other
of the
group.
BDA.
It was the sheriff. Oh no, it's not the sheriff. Oh, it was the federal marshals. Are you sure it was the federal marshals? Not another federal agency?
No, it was the BATFE.
Oh god.
Oh, that's I wrote a short story a while ago called "The King is Dead." It was kind of a satirical take on both fairy tales and modern bureaucratic government, but I kind of tried to make it where all of the king's advisors had really convoluted names, and it was really hard to keep track of who was who. And it's just as a device, it's like they all have really silly titles, and I was like, well, what do these guys even do? They all have really redundant functions, and they're all bad.
All right, where'd you put that story up?
It's on my website, DarianWarden.com,
All
under
right,
fiction.
we're going to have to find that on DarianWarden.com under fiction.
Okay, James, thank you very much for being with us tonight and for your efforts to build us a future of freedom.
Thank you very much, James.
See you, Jim.
You're welcome, and thank you for all of your efforts.
Well, thank
well,
you.
we do some efforts, I suppose. All right, see you.
All right. Good night, James.
All right. Yeah, I think we're going to do a break. Before we go to a break, I had one thing that I wanted to get in. Watching what's been going on in the chat room, the couch activist, you rock. Like your sheer tenacity for managing to listen to Thinking Liberty is outstanding, and you get kudos just from me.
He's going for the OG stream?
Well, he was going for different streams and like trying different stuff. I'm just
All
like,
right.
man, this guy is devoted. That's outstanding.
All right.
I love it.
All right. Well, thank you to all our listeners, and especially for those who really put in that extra bit to just
The
to
couch
get on
activist.
there.
I suppose the couch activist might just win the that contest that we're holding. Did we talk about the contest already?
Oh, we talked about the contest.
Oh, okay. I'm good.
Basically, promote Thinking Liberty, send us an email of it, and we'll judge your entry and send you awesome stuff. if you
Sounds
win.
good to me.
And you
Awesome
have
stuff.
until the end of the month.
Okay.
All right.
We ready for a break?
We're ready for a break. When we come back, we're going to have Bosco questions. Who am I?
Oh boy, exciting.
Let's go
Stay
to break.
tuned.
Go ahead.
It's time to laugh, it's time to cry, it's time to be what you need to be. It won't be long till they're gone and we can be what we wanna be. I wanna run from everything, everything.
All right, we're back on Thinking Liberty.
Yeah, I want to let you guys know that there's some issues going on with the website and the streams and things like that. Bile's working very hard on it. Bile has in front of him 3 different screens, 1 set of headphones, 1 microphone, 1 mixer, 1 dual channel preamp, and he runs around and hits all the stuff. He's a very, very hardworking dude, and we thank him a lot for doing that too. So he's working to fix your problems. He kind of reminds me of some frantic telephone operator or something like that, just
The
plugging the wires
description
in.
that Darian gave last week was pretty accurate, I think. From
Yeah.
The guy in Metropolis who
Absolutely.
has to run back
I
and
was thinking
forth to
about
get all
it
the gauges.
after the show last week. I'm like, wow, you know what? That's really what he does.
I was thinking right now, as Ryan was describing that, of Boris from GoldenEye, just a
Oh,
frantic computer genius.
But
That's
he's-
what's going on now.
Yeah, we love him for it. We
got
like
some
all
fake
our
ones on the
fans
counter.
too. All our people who are hanging in there with us, Anarcho Tom and Benjamin Nix and the Couch Activist, and you guys are awesome. Thank you very much.
And all our listeners who aren't in the chat, you're awesome too. So we just
I
don't know your names.
guess. No, everybody who's listening to this, all you podcast listeners, you're awesome too. We like you all.
Yeah, and we mentioned that that there was our next show. Remember, it's going to be Monday, 21st.
Monday.
All right, so Bosco, I believe you had a question game you wanted
Oh
to get
yes.
into.
Do you want me to explain the game again, or you think everybody knows it?
Explain the game.
All right, so here's how the game works. I have picked somebody who's should be relatively well known. They're not necessarily an anarchist, but somebody who should be.
Why not?
Somebody who should be well known to, I guess you could use small L libertarian as your descriptor. Definitely to the people in this room, but to small L libertarians too. And what I did was I got a series of facts about this person that I got 10 of them actually, and it goes from super general to much more specific. The job of the hosts on this show is to try to guess what the person is before it gets all the way
They're
down
a
to
human.
1. Now, I would just like to point out that the last time
I
I
win.
tried playing this game,
You lose.
Bile guessed it in 2. So it went around, and everybody was like, "Oh yeah, this."
So you
this,
sabotaged our freaking whole website system, so Bile's distracted.
Yes,
What's your problem?
This is what I did. And so Bile came in with, he was just like, "Oh, Hayek," and I'm like, "Oh well, now the game's over." So yesterday's what was that?
That was Nelson.
Oh, all right.
All right, so I guess in order
So
to,
yesterday's
what are you
celebrity
gonna
was
do to
Selma
keep
Hayek.
Okay, it was Selma Hayek. What are you going to do to keep it actually fun so we don't just end it at 2 questions? I think-
I'll tell you what I did to keep it
I'd say
fun.
no real answers until the 5th question.
I made it an ass load of a lot harder. That's what I did.
Ah.
And I tried to make sure that it was somebody that Bile could not guess. But what's your suggestion?
Oh, I say after 5 questions, we have to get at least 5 questions, and then we have real, actual suggestions of who it is. Maybe the people in the audience there can guess who it is, and you're not going to say which person, but you'll say okay. But then we'll start guessing it.
My only issue with the people in the audience is they're on a 30-second delay.
30 seconds.
So we kind of have to sit here and
Are they? Because last week the chat said that they were pretty.
if
Pretty
they're
close,
synced
so-
up. I mean, if they'll
I
get
can-
it in
I can
before the
watch
end of the round.
I'll watch the chat.
Yeah, watch it and see if people dump us some advice.
I got
But-
my money on the couch.
The only problem with the 5 in a row too is I think then it would just go around and somebody would get it right away. You wouldn't have as many rounds. You wouldn't have as many goofy answers. Yeah. But okay, Tennyson said we wouldn't even say anything until after the 5th question.
we, the
and our
host,
sound
is-
engineer Bile just threw a brick at him and said, "Speaking to the
Oh
mic."
yes. Now, I actually have to speak right into the mic here so people can understand what I'm saying. So I think, just in order to keep it fun, we don't have to. Because what if you admit that after the first guess, which we may actually get on the first guess?
So
Yeah.
still let you guys guess.
yeah.
Oh, wow, you're smarter than I am. A whole lot. Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. All right. So
I think you should ask the questions though.
all right. Here we go. Here's the questions. I have this secret ballot. Drum roll. Chained to my wrist.
I'm supposed to do sound.
You can hear. You are doing sounds.
That's my job.
You are hearing
And
it.
you're doing a
unfurled
very
right now.
good job.
So we're gonna do 5 rounds. Everybody's guess. I'm not gonna tell you if you got it right or wrong until the 5th round.
Okay.
If nobody gets it right or wrong, I'm just gonna keep going.
All right.
All right. Here we go. And I'm gonna go clockwise because that's easiest for me.
Murray Rothbard.
And I hate you now.
You-
And Laura's gonna watch the chat room. I gotta shield this from. I'm pretty sure Bile has mirrors set up in here, so he
What
can
you
see
gotta
what
do
I'm
is
reading.
get your own little phone with a screen thing that nobody can see on the sides.
All right. do you want to guess, Bile, or no? No,
All
he
right,
he's
no.
super busy. All right,
Start
so,
it, start
so
it.
here we go. You ready?
He is above your game.
Come on.
Numero uno. This person is a collectivist. What's your guess, Tennyson?
Ayn Rand.
What's your guess?
Fyodor Kropotkin.
And any guesses from the chat room?
Oh, let me look. Okay, all right.
Crickets in the chat room. All right, here you go. Second, here we go. This person has a beard.
Okay.
What do you think, Tennyson?
It's probably not Ayn Rand on a press day, but has a beard.
The
Let's
Ayn Rand
see.
jokes never get old.
Yeah, I mean, he already went with Kropotkin, so it's like, has a beard? Karl Marx.
You think it's Karl Marx? What do you think, Darren?
I'm gonna stick with Kropotkin.
Okay. Remember, you could still be right. It'll go to 5 before you know. Any guesses
What if
from the chat room?
What if I
The-
make
the
2
couch
guesses? Can I
activist
be right
also
on both of those?
Is with Darian on that one.
Okay, the couch activist thinks it's Kropotkin. All right, here we go. Number 3. I believe workers and unions would combine on a federalist basis to facilitate revolution. Starting with Tennyson, what do you think?
That's starting to sound a whole lot like Marx, but but it could also be Bakunin and Kropotkin. So who knows?
Which one's your guess?
All right, I'm sticking with Marx right
Sticking with Marx. All right.
What was the quote again?
All right. I believe workers and unions would combine on a federalist basis to facilitate revolution.
I'm just gonna stick with Kropotkin because I'm not really sure.
Kropotkin.
It doesn't.
all right.
I'm not sure if that's really. Doesn't. I haven't read that much Kropotkin, but it doesn't sound like him. But I'm just gonna stick with it for now.
now. They all
right.
kind of said basically the same thing in the old socialist days. It was a federation of federations. The
Federation.
the worldwide.
Federation does sound very sci-fi-esque.
Yes, it was the worldwide federation, the WWF.
All right. Any guesses from the chat room there, Laura?
We got Tucker, Perdone, Bakunin,
Yeah.
and then couch activist says, "Wait, hold on."
Yes, I see.
Wait. No, don't tell
clock
me.
we
is
are waiting.
ticking.
We are waiting for the couch activist. Go.
Go, go, go!
All right.
Oh, he's fixed himself.
All right,
All right.
all
Anyway,
right.
we're moving on. Let's see. Okay, here you go. The fourth hint. This person is an anarchist. Tennyson, what do you think?
Okay. Well, I'm going to take Marx out of the list now, even though he'd like to call himself an anarchist in his good days. Well, it looks like it's getting closer to the Prince now. So,
Okay. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the big beard man, K.
You're sticking with Kropotkin. You've liked Kropotkin since like the second one. I'd just like to say. All right. Any guesses from the chat room? Anything new?
No, we're good.
All right. This is the 5th one. You ready? Big lucky number 5. This person believes religion is an affront to reason.
huh.
What do you think, Tennyson?
Wow. That's that really is starting to sound like wait, who is that now?
Bakunin.
Yeah, it sounds like the anti-church Bakunin there. But I think who's the other guy I'm thinking of? I was thinking of Proudhon as well, because Proudhon would say something like that about the church.
It could be Tucker. He had that famous deathbed statement where he called in his nurse and he's like, I want everybody.
Make sure that you know that I didn't do this.
He's like, I want everybody to know that I'm not recanting. I do not believe in God.
Yes,
Those are some of his last words.
exactly. And then, but
Ballsy.
what kind of beard did Tucker actually have, though?
Well, he had several different beards.
He did. I've
had
seen different pictures.
he had
of
the
Tucker.
crazy big growth beard. He had the dapper young fellow beard.
Yeah.
He had like the pointed, snidely whiplash thing
Yeah,
going
I
on.
saw that there. All right.
All right, so
we're
I'll-
past question 5.
I'm gonna
Who
go
do
with
you guess?
Bakunin.
You're gonna go
All right.
Bakunin?
Anything new from the chat room there, Laura?
No.
All right. Well, I will tell you guys that you got it, and the first people to get it were actually in the chat room, and it is Mikhail Bakunin.
Okay.
And you got the
Is,
Russian collectivist anarchist.
Is the urge to destroy a creative urge too?
Oh well, here. Let me see. What were your other hints? Your other hints, if you kept going, were 6, many people accuse me of tying anarchism to terrorism. 7, I associated with, and many would consider me a friend of, Proudhon. 8, I was an active member of the First International until I was
Yeah,
expelled
there
by
we go.
Marx. I think that's a great thing to be able to say, oh yeah, First International, I was totally involved in that until Marx booted my ass out.
Not the second international. I was in on the first
first
one.
international.
And then that asshole.
There's only
just
there's
booted me
only
out.
so
'cause I
many
was too
times.
awesome.
I was too radical for Marx.
There's only so many times you can tell Marx that you think he's too dictatorial and authoritarian before he uses all of his power to boot you out, thus proving your point, by the way.
Well, know how he goes. It was the 1870s. Things were crazy, you know.
Those crazy 1870s. All right. I like this quote. Number 9 reminds me of Julian a lot. I once said, "We must spread our principles not with words, but with deeds, for this is the most popular, the most potent, and the most irresistible form of propaganda." And 10, if you hadn't gotten it by then, was just, "I am Russian."
Okay.
You should be able to pick that up. But to the people in the chat room, you got it.
Yeah.
So nice.
Bakunin was an interesting fellow.
That's very good. I like that.
I don't know. Was that really a championship kind of?
Do we have people arguing in the chat room? Looks like they're arguing over Tucker. Did
Yeah,
Tucker
they're
use
talking
the
about
collectivist
Tucker.
title, or did he use the individualist
No,
title?
he was definitely individualist.
Yeah.
But then again, some people later on as
He
individuals
gets-
would consider him maybe more.
He
of a
gets lumped in
collectivist.
with the early American individualists. I thought the big thing with him was that he liked the term socialism.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, he used it as many people used it back then as attempting to solve the social problem, making it so society functioned socially, not just for the capitalists.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
Bakunin, speaking of definitions, had a very interesting definition of federalism that I learned all about today.
All right. What is he saying?
Well, he really thought it kind of stemmed from freedom of association. So he was really looking at the federation form of the term. So he thought it was a bunch of people who voluntarily would want to, form this group. Whereas today, I don't know. When I think of federal, I tend to think more of federal government. It has this very kind of nasty taste left in my mouth when I use the term federalism. But he was very big on the term.
Yeah,
Okay.
and federated is still used as a union term. Probably more in Europe, I would think, just because America has the federal government, as you were saying,
Well, we
federalism.
still have the AFL. So.
Yeah, that's true.
AFL-CIO.
True.
Or AFT even.
Bakunin, by the way, one of the best beards, I think, out there.
Yeah.
You can find
okay.
some funny stories. Well, I don't know if I call them funny stories, but some
if I
some
call
funny
them
stories
funny
of
stories.
one of the many times that he was sentenced to death for what was he sentenced to death for? His involvement in the Dresden affair, and basically they had to shave him, and they did not have the appropriate tools to tackle Bakunin's beard. So it was a painful, long, and arduous process. But his sentence
He's
was later
too
commuted to
badass
life. So yeah, his beard hairs were just too tough for those damn authoritarian pricks.
That's right. So Bakunin had an interesting essay, I think, called "Stateless Socialism, Anarchism," worth reading. His vision of a free society is not exactly like mine would be, and he did have some other issues that I'm sure if you look back, you'll find out about.
Did he have the same anti-Semitic issues that?
People really rail on him for the anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
He gets beat up a lot because for the violence aspect.
Yeah, that's
Thinking that violence is basically a tool in your arsenal for political change.
Now, was Bakunin? Were all the anti-Semitic statements he made before he became an anarchist? Because he had a really long political career. Did he retain that when he was an anarchist?
I don't know. I wouldn't
That's
be able to answer
something
that.
I'm not sure of.
All right, you can feel free to research that on your own time.
This is left as an exercise to the listener.
Yes.
Learn more about Bakunin.
This
All right.
episode brought to you by the letter B for Bakunin and beat people.
He also, what's the other one he did? God and State is a
God
book
and
that he
State.
did that's on my to-read list. I bought that at the Anarchist Book Fair.
Yeah.
because it's you're rolling your eyes there. Why are you rolling your eyes then?
It's like that's the to read thing. It's like, are we ever actually going to finish all the things on our to read list?
I actually finished these particular books because
Uh-huh.
they make them for people like me. They make them small, so
Okay.
it's these tiny little books. Like I got the Conquest of Bread. You remember
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
one, Darian? And I can just like stick it in my pocket, and then every time I'm stuck somewhere, I reach my hand in my jacket pocket. I'm like, hey, a book. That's awesome.
A book. Yes. So I'm going to be putting all my books on my new iPhone, which I actually succeeded in ordering today. 'Cause unlike, the millions of other people who didn't get in. So I just felt like putting that out there. 'Cause it
Just
was an
another way
accomplishment today.
Tennyson's
Yeah.
better than you.
Once again, Tennyson is awesome. The rest of you stink.
They don't stink. I just would prefer they showered.
Showering.
Yeah.
What are you, some kind of authoritarian man?
Yes.
You believe in the capitalist myth of being clean?
Yes.
You know who didn't shower? Bakunin. Just saying.
Just throwing that in there. That's see. This
Did
is
he
why
even
he's a
have
bad
running water for half of his life?
guy. He's a bad guy.
Probably
so.
not.
Does Bosco even have running water in his house?
Probably not.
I don't think that he needs it.
You just dunk your face in the same bucket that you use to wash your clothes before you
man,
dump out the water on your
it's,
plants?
It's all a matter of priorities, right? Like, at some point in the chain, water is going to come in contact with your ass. Do you want that to happen before or after it cleans your clothes? And you got to decide because your clothes have already come in contact.
This sounds
with
like
your
a
ass.
trick question.
Well, and then the vegetables, they don't know the difference between normal water and ass water, so they get ass water.
Sometimes we don't know either.
This is the angle we're going down right now. No, this is. I think we should just
We
back
were
away
doing
from
so
this.
well.
We should back away from this avenue of ass water.
Well, you should have heard what we were talking about before the show started. I'll tell you about that.
All right, well, we'll talk about that after the show's over.
So speaking of ass water, Bile, how is it going over there on the computers?
How does that
Give
even
him a
relate?
mic, quick! He's got no mic. He can't respond.
I think it's coming along. The website's now up. I think it was the HT access file got screwed up when I was trying to do the redirections.
Damn that HT access
I
file.
hate when that happens.
I know.
So
So
we're
the website is back up, but I need to make sure that things are actually functional. I just literally 10 seconds ago got it actually to come up. So
You're the man.
All right.
So it looks like we're on clean water, not ass water right now.
not
Yeah.
ass water. Not
You're-
yet.
Nice and fresh, and it's good.
You and
Yeah,
your
that's-
obsession with ass water.
I think that's what I'm
should
going to
be-
say now when something's messing up.
should be
Like, oh
drinking
man, we're
booty
really
sweat."
running on ass water right now.
Yeah, you really should just be drinking booty sweat all the time. Just booty sweat.
Oh God, I think that was the best part of that movie.
That was one of the
I,
best.
I watched like the first 2 minutes of that movie. I'm like, wow, okay, it just peaked. It
Yeah.
can't
It
get
can't get
any
any-
better than booty sweat.
No, it does. It's so he's traipsed into the jungle. It's like, man,
Wait.
wish I had this nice, delicious booty sweat with me.
What are you
I'm glad I picked up this booty sweat in Da Nang.
what are you talking about?
Tropic Thunder.
I still haven't seen that one.
Yes,
I-
you
I-
really
I-
should see some movies. I'm
Can't sleep in hotels. Hotels give me
As
nightmares.
much as I hate most of the actors in that movie, it was pretty good.
It's pretty
So
funny.
that's about as good as an endorsement as you're going to get.
Funny
from Bile.
story
I don't-
about that movie. I actually kept telling myself, I'm like, oh, there's some movie that I've got to see. And it's
Movie I
this
gotta see.
spoof, and I ended up watching Delta Farce. And
yeah.
Delta Farce is absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
And
it
then
is.
one of my friends told me, you're stupid. I recommended that you watch Tropic Thunder. And so then I watched Tropic Thunder.
All right.
and it was good.
It was
I
excellent.
really enjoyed Tom Cruise's role there. So he really shined in that movie.
Apple bottom jeans.
Yes.
That's good.
All right. Let's get back to the anarchy here.
All right, back to the anarchy.
So I had a new article posted on Center for a Stateless Society.
I've heard of this website.
It's a good website. It's not just a website though. It's an organization that
is it-
exists to get anarchist media out there in the larger
Is
world.
it also a stateless university type of thing? Is that what they're doing?
There's a stateless university. You can check that out. It's all at c4ss.org. In my latest, I start with the violence in Kyrgyzstan and just kind of relate to how bigotry and statehood kind of weave together.
I saw there was a good there was a good Carson post on there too. He did the Somalia. Really, is that all you got? Was that on there?
Yeah, is that the
Yeah,
best you
That
got?
was
Yeah.
that was good.
I like that one too. Oh, I had a new idea about a C4SS promo idea. I was thinking about how proud I am to, be a monthly subscriber, donator.
You should give a testimonial.
And then I was
while
thinking,
you're washing your clothes in dirty ass water.
Now it's dirty ass water.
and then I was thinking, I really have, second only to Tennyson, a very, very large head. Like I could really stand to eat a lot of humble pie. But as long as I'm like a C4SS subscriber and somebody isn't, I actually have verifiable proof that I'm better than that other person.
Yes.
So if you don't want my horrible, horrible hubris to grow, you should hurry up and subscribe. And actually, you should subscribe for a dollar amount greater than mine. So
$1?
I'm just a loser compared to you. Then that's what I think.
Okay.
We had a mention on the chat room here. Brad Spangler, the director of the center, he's pretty high on the list of people to be voted as a
for the
guest
Freedom
on Napolitano's Freedom Watch program.
I really enjoy Andrew Napolitano. He's come a long way over the years, and I appreciate watching the growth.
So, do you know where people could go to vote for him?
No,
to get him
I
on?
have no idea.
I'm
but
not really sure what the URL is either.
I'm assuming it's actually like you go to Fox Business, look for
Wait,
Napolitano's
we-
thing.
we've
so-
got it.
We've got it.
Anarcho
look.
Tom just brought it right up.
Marco Tom came through for it. It was freedomwatch.uservoice.com/16626 freedom-watch- suggestions.
He had that URL at the ready,
Suggestions.
waiting for this moment. all
Well,
night.
what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it in our Thinking Liberty blog post. Maybe
Okay.
we can send out a tweet to do that. If Biles got a second, or someone else could.
I think we should just give Bile more stuff to do. That really entertains me.
So,
We talked about the court thing with Bile already, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
so Vile, while you're doing that, I don't know what else can we make him do.
Oh, I don't know. All kinds of stuff.
I
Stand
posted
on
a
one
video
head.
in the
Stand
chat
on one
of
head.
Bile working a behind-the-scenes clip.
Ooh,
He
So
does.
it's
He does a
there.
lot of work. He's a
He's
hard
a busy
worker.
guy.
He does.
Busy.
Yeah, all the rest of us are just idiots with microphones. Although I should point out that Tennyson, being Tennyson, has his own private computer where he has his own private chat room with his private friends who have private time with Tennyson in awesome Tennyson is Cool land.
Tennyson, how do I
they
join
have their
your
own
fan
private
club?
phones. You're already in there.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Oh, I am.
You are.
it's such an awesome
So
club.
you're-
You don't even know when you're in it.
You're actually in that
I'm so
first
excited.
section right here, and I have you in there. And as I will show my witness here in my first section,
She's right there under the lovely ladies
there you go.
category.
She's
Oh
right in
my goodness! Oh,
Wait, who's in the
Tennyson.
lovely? Bosco's in the lovely ladies category.
Yeah, I am. But it's just the
You're a
picture of
lovely
me wearing
woman.
a skirt. That's the only one he likes.
I didn't go.
You look pretty in a skirt.
I do. I have no idea how to sit though. It's just awful.
You got to sit with your legs kind of. Anyway,
There's a lot of hair. I'm just saying,
Where?
a lot of hair is involved. When
Everywhere.
I wear a skirt, just in general.
oh, all over.
Yeah.
You got to.
Yeah, it's bad. It's like
little. Little off the
Sasquatch
sides.
dress up
We'll
day.
get you a weed whacker.
I think one of the things that we should do to promote the show, maybe. How about if nobody sends in any promotion videos, we're gonna post pictures of you in a skirt, and I don't know.
That's all.
I don't know how we're gonna make people look at it.
We could have a competition.
It might just make
No,
people not go to our website
Bosco
ever.
could be in
Ever.
a skirt. I'll be in a skirt, and they could vote on who looks better in the skirt.
Okay. That sounds fair.
That's all right. No, never mind.
I don't know. Maybe people think he does. I don't know.
I think you know. All right, we're going. I wanted to point something out there. My friend Pinquan, or just Pin, as we like to say, he put something up recently. It was how to reduce the welfare rolls in Holland. An entertaining little story here. Extreme makeovers and dating services. This is the answer to the welfare problem in Holland. The
Okay.
Frisian villages of Donegredel and Dantemeladiel have come up with a novel way of cutting spending on welfare payments, encouraging jobless women to find a rich man. The local social service departments are paying for the women to have a makeover in the hope they can hook up with a rich husband to support them.
Is this
the paper
for real?
says if 70 women find a new husband, the council can save 400,000 euros on welfare payments.
So basically, the state's trying to pimp these women out
Yes.
to a rich guy.
It's cheaper to pay for the makeup and
Where
just
was
try
this
to push
again?
in Holland.
There was something I think going on in the UK too. They were doing
They're
something
doing
similar
something
to
like
that.
that?
Yeah, I read it a couple days ago. I could probably look up the article. but-
Imagine that.
This
Yeah.
is why we need more anarcho-feminists in the audience.
People want me to speak
Now-
into the mic.
Now would be the time that they call in and have comments about that program. As far as speaking into the mic, I think you should move the mic really, really close to your mouth. Talk slowly and with a lot of saliva, like NPR style. Like, you're listening to
I
the
gotta try and do a
Tennyson
Leonard
Show.
Lopate here. So
On the Tennyson Network.
You're listening to NPR. Our program is not as good as Thinking Liberty.
Oh, you know that
I can do
NPR
many
kills
good NPR impersonations, but I will not because they are cruel.
it. Oh, NPR.
Okay,
You
so,
give us such entertainment.
so that's I guess that's what the state does. You know, when they run out of their welfare programs, they just pimp you out because they care about you that much.
Well, you
They
know,
care about
women
you
do need to know their
this
place.
much.
Oh,
So,
good God.
You know,
Yeah, I mean, that just strikes me as just really an awful kind of message, especially to send to like young girls.
Hey,
Especially if you're propping yourself up as some sort of authority figure and then sending it out, like, it's brutal, very painful. But hey, good job pointing it out.
I know it's a fascinating little thing that they got going on there in Holland, and I've met some Dutch women, and you know I appreciate them. So
And there we go.
I'm going to leave that vague.
I think you could just take the word Dutch out of that sentence.
So
That'd be fine.
there are two people that I
I met
hate.
some women once.
Yes, there
I
are two
really
people that I
appreciate
hate.
them.
You know, people who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
That's another good line.
That's
Yeah.
a good one. Yeah.
All right. So so speaking of the state, now we're all anarchists on the show. You know, we're cool. You know,
Speaking of propaganda,
we're cool. You know, we don't believe in having rulers over. You know that we believe that there should be
Tape
everybody
measures.
should have only equal authority over their own lives, no authority to rule over another's life.
we're fun
that,
loving.
that everything should be done consensually.
They're all handsome.
And we hope to do things with
We've come a
solidarity,
long way,
mutual
baby.
aid in mind. So,
There's a cat hanging
But-
in the
but
poster there
we-
that says "Hang in there, baby."
but we weren't always this good. Now, I used to be, kind of a libertarian minarchist, but for a while, I'm just trying to just get your response on this here. For a while, I was like, anarchy sounds okay, but I think a limited, minimal government would be better. So I wouldn't force government on people, but I'm not going to advocate no government because it would be better if we had a little government. What would you say about a position like that?
I would say that I would be more apt to talk to someone like that and try to build bridges with someone like that than to take a mammoth wedge and hit it repeatedly with a 10-pound sledge to drive those people away. I mean, when it comes to this issue, the thing that bugs me most is the anarchists who are like, oh, you're a minarchist? You're a freaking scumbag. It's like, oh, come on,
but
really?
I think you
Well,
get that
you
more
know.
from limited government types who are just like, anarchists, you really hate freedom. You're just it's just I don't know.
They're pretty nuts.
Ah!
I've had to talk with some minarchists who just refuse to actually think or talk about issues, and said they just want to, play a semantic game or something, and say you really just actually support government, but you really support decentralized government. You're still a government person. And I'm like, no, we're not talking. Anarchy doesn't. You just can't get through these.
See,
things
that's
sometimes.
when I'd be like, government, yeah, sure, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, we're doing this Fiji outreach. Would you like to be? What would you like to do? That's I like let's just steer it towards some activism and let's just
I would like to keep you from seceding.
So what? Well, all right. So that's Ryan. That would be your response to someone who has.
yeah.
that
I would
opinion?
try to invite him out to some things, try to get him involved, try to get him doing something. I consider them more of an asset than somebody that I need to constantly argue with because I've got 99% of the populace to constantly argue with if I really wanted to.
If you really wanted
Yeah.
to, and I really don't. So I
So
don't.
neither do I.
Yeah, I really don't want to argue with anarchists or libertarians or anybody else either. So no, I hated arguing a while ago. I hated arguing a long time ago, and I still kind of hate arguing now. So
I think you're wrong.
there you go. And so
my thing with this is that someone in that they should. I mean, you should try to steer them more towards your view. But
Yeah.
do it in a friendly way. like I think a good way to ask is why do you think a limited government is better than
That's
anarchy?
a good angle.
You
That's-
know, just like see what they actually think, and then get them to think more about it. Because, you know, I think that for me, a lot of it was just thinking about coercion, and you know, nobody has the right to coerce another person who's a peaceable individual. And then it comes down to that's really the hallmark of government, that it can do that. So if you're talking about voluntary organization, that leaves government out, because government is the defining characteristic is that it has authority to push people around who don't want to. And then it's like, okay, well then I guess, you know, the right label for me would be anarchist. So then you actually start looking into anarchy and its own methodology that might be different from, say, limited government kind of activism.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, a good way to reach people who are minarchists or constitutionalists or things like that is to ask them why exactly do they value these things, and then show them why these values can be better achieved following something else. So if they really, really support limited government because they think that people really should be maximally free, then it seems that, you know, you can point out the inconsistency in the, you know, being maximally free and the limited state. And then they may understand the contradiction.
But if you run into the cognitive dissonance
Dissonance,
wall, and they go, well,
It's
you
the-
know,
it's a planted seed. It's really
you know,
what it
like
is.
I just don't think you're right. Don't you know? Don't let the issue destroy your relationship with the
Yeah.
person. Utilize the relationship. You know, you build it, grow it, try to get involved, try to do things rather than just, you know, having the anarchist minarchist debate be the end of your dealings with this person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when we're looking at that, getting people more on our page, it's important to do it in a way that's productive. I mean, there's no point in debating to win. You don't really win that much by coming home and thinking, wow, I really, you know, got that person and I was right and they were wrong. You have to discuss to move forward, to move towards liberty. So that's important. And I think just showing examples of how anarchist ideas can solve certain problems, say defense, welfare, things like that, and you know, an infrastructure, and say why your solutions aren't government, why they are anarchist, and drawing the distinction. I think that's important.
True. Let's see. In the chat room, Anarcho Tom makes a really good point. Arguing seldom produces much good. Listening and asking questions works better. And that seems to be both what you guys were talking about. You know, it's a dialogue. It's not a shouting match.
I think, a good post that really got me to look and try to actually resolve this question of, am I a limited government libertarian or am I an anarchist, was a post by Charles Johnson. He's been on the show before. Good guy.
He knows everything.
Over at radgeek.com.
Was he on the show before?
Yeah, we had him on the labor show.
The Labor Show?
Yeah, the Labor
He was
Day
on a
show.
legit recorded show.
He was
Yeah?
on a recorded
And then the
show.
other show that
Oh, that's right. That's right. We called him. That's what the thing was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I remember.
He was also on a show with Roderick Long the one day they were in the city, and
Together,
and Patriot Radio failed, which is why we're on our own setup now.
which is why Bile is awesome. because we've got an
Bile
awesome
does
guy.
not fail.
But no jinx. No whammies.
The post was called "Take the A Train," and a lot of it was
good one.
kind of riffing off Tom Knapp's train metaphor. I guess
and the second one, of course, the follow-up, the one in which I failed to be impressed.
Reassured, I think was
Yeah, I
was the
wish
one.
I failed to be reassured.
Yeah, and I think Tom Knapp was the one who was making the metaphor. I don't know if he came up with it or not. Probably not.
He didn't.
But basically saying that minarchism is just one stop. You're on the same train. You can convert people while you're on the train, and minarchism is just one stop earlier on the train than anarchism. But Charles Johnson says that, well, if that's the metaphor you're going to use, then minarchists would logically be blocking the tracks after they get off. They wouldn't be, just let you go on your way. So it was a good discussion. I mean, I don't know if the train metaphor is really,
That train metaphor blew up for a while. I mean, there was lots of comments and
we're not really on a train, though. We're in society, and we have to be consistent with our ideas and get them out there in the best way possible.
Yeah, all metaphors fail at some point, and all metaphors are also partially right.
Yeah, I mean, they're good for describing things and stuff, but when people rely on them too much, I think is the problem.
True.
Because you can use a metaphor to illustrate something, but when it's just it doesn't really. I mean, you can misapply a metaphor.
Or when the metaphor, people consider the metaphor to be the end of the argument, and it's like, no, you need to further explain yourself. So, well, that's a slippery slope. Okay. All right. let's continue on then. What do you mean?
There is no on. That is it.
That's true. There usually isn't a the people who just quote these random metaphors and things like that. They rarely have much to back them up with. Not the train analogy, that was well thought out. I'm talking more of like the CNN. Some dude somewhere is holding a sign and they choose to zoom in on this guy and ask him some questions.
Yes.
Exactly, and he states what's on his sign and then looks at them indignantly.
Indeed.
I always love that lack of discourse.
Every time I say yes to questions now, I'm thinking of Green, Alvin Green. I was showing
brutal. That's
I was showing Darian these videos of Alvin Green yesterday because he won the South Carolina Democratic primary, and we're pretty sure he's a Republican plant, but I think that he's retarded as well. So, yeah, he's kind of like Forrest Gump. Though he'll answer a question. Wait, is there a sound effect coming? No. No? Okay. And she didn't say that into the mic. She just said no, just in case you wanted to know. Yeah, but Alvin Green, he says yes, 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 hard work.
it was just the stuff he was saying. It was just terribly spoken, and it didn't really address the question. Like, politicians, a lot of times they dodge questions and stuff,
Yeah.
but he wasn't even really dodging. He was just like, didn't really know what to say. He would just keep like.
So Tennyson, what's your first name?
Yes.
Yeah. So, but to be honest, I almost, it might just be the mood I was in. I'm in now, but I would kind of like it if he won. And like he was in the Senate, and there's like a C-SPAN debate, and I don't know, they're trying to make some resolution to like fund a war or
Send
something.
This guy up to filibuster.
And yeah, and like they have, I guess I don't know what his positions are, but I don't really know what they would have him filibuster.
He
but
doesn't know what his positions
just,
are.
just like have him on there, like
His position is yes.
Yes, but
He's got to get his lawyer to tell him.
it was 60% of the vote I won by hard work, and
60% of the votes not luck. It's not
See,
luck.
you can get by on not knowing what your position is. You can get by on that whole like just a random non sequitur. Like,
Yeah.
what's your position? I'm for change.
Okay.
Okay.
I am change.
He would say that, no, I have no comment on that. No, right now. He would say I have no comment. It's like, are you actually a felon right now and you're not even eligible to be running, and the party in fact declared that you should probably recall and you shouldn't continue running? I have no comment on that right now. No, 60% of the vote, that's not luck. It's not luck. No,
60% don't care if I'm a felon.
Exactly. No. It's just, it'll be a fascinating thing. I want to see a debate between him and any other politician, like any Democratic politician, him and Jim DeMint. It's going to be hilarious.
I think it would get old pretty fast, though.
Well, we'll see. It's going to be a couple of minutes, and so he's either going to walk off the stage, or he'll just stand there and not really have an answer.
Oh,
It'll be
God.
Miss South Carolina, except not as articulate.
It doesn't instill much faith in the system. Not that you had any, but I don't know. I agree with Darian though. I really kind of would like to see things just get like so stupid, like idiocracy stupid, to the point where people look at it and are like, "Dude, what is our government even doing? Like, come on."
And that was another thing that I was almost hoping that at some point I was kind of hoping that McCain and Palin would win, because McCain, he's like this old, like, jingoistic loser.
He's a
and
terrorist.
Like he'd be like the perfect symbol for a dying empire. and Palin is just so crazy and like and the amount of incompetence that would come out of that, it's like maybe that would be good, but I was like, incompetent government, they can still hurt you. You know,
Yes, they could.
they don't need to really
It gets
know what
worse.
they're doing.
It
Maybe
gets
they could
worse
just,
before it falls apart.
Yeah, maybe they could just let fly loose with the nukes. You know, who knows? They could be crazy like that.
Oh yeah, I forgot about those nukes.
Yeah, I think
nukes.
about nukes every day. Every day.
So what is your solution as an anarchist to all these nuclear weapons that are in the world?
Yes, Bosco.
Everybody shifted over to the least intelligent person in the room.
Oh,
I really don't think nuclear weapons, let's say as a device that you'd have in a free society, you'd probably incur so much liability for use of the device that I really don't think you could expect to use it as a tool to rule much of anything. So if you had nuclear weapons, right, you could expect such a backlash, I'd say, from free peoples for, in some cases, maybe even possessing them, that I don't really think they continue to stick around. I think a lot of them would end up being dismantled. I mean, call me utopian, everybody does, but
you're utopian.
how about you, Tennyson?
All right, Darian had something he wanted to put in. I'll put my thing in after this. But
Well, I just want to know, are you familiar with the Gwar song, Bring Back the Bomb?
I am not familiar with
Saving
that
the
Gwar song.
whales, an agenda for some. Nuking them. Sits well with me.
oh, Gwar.
I mean, there's stuff that you could there's
I like
there's
that.
easy ways to dispose of nukes. That does
By blowing up whales?
that does exist, not by blowing up whales. Actually,
Nuke the whales.
You gotta nuke something.
Nuke some-
anyway,
Touche.
Tennyson weighed in with a very very good response there. Tennyson,
Yeah.
Darian, what do you got, Tennyson?
Yeah, so what I was thinking really is that I don't see an immediate anarchist solution to the problem, because I don't think anarchy will come about immediately. So I can see an intermediate status solution to the problem, and I really wish that anybody who was going to run and win the presidency, run for the presidency and win, would at least give lip service to the idea that they were going to start some sort of worldwide coalition with all the nuclear powers, all the people in the nuclear club, and say what we're going to do is proportional disarmament. Everybody reduces by the same proportion. Nobody's going to have any immediate power over anybody else. There's not going to be any missile gap or nuclear gap or something. So everybody at the same time disposes of these nuclear weapons proportionally. So if America's got 100 and Soviet Union's got 200, well then who knows? Well, not the Soviet Union, but I went back to my childhood really quickly. Yeah, but no. If they got 100 and the other one's got 200, well, then, we go to, 50, or the other one goes to 100. So it's that kind of proportional until it gets down to everybody having one and everyone can destroy the last one immediately. It's just as utopian as the other one, I suppose, but I think that it could be politically feasible and it could actually sell politically if you're going to do it. So.
Okay. Now, let's say that you've got a pretty anarchic era. There's not government. Things are pretty just, pretty equal, and pretty consensual, and you've got this anarchy, and then some pro-government madman is like, you have to let me rule this area, because if not, I'm going to nuke something.
Yeah.
What happens then?
No, in case he just wants... Well, it seems like it's not very different from the situation that we have today, though. So, I mean, people are simply continuing to live their lives and supporting whatever exists.
See, here's what kills me, though. I don't think, like, when you talk about, you need to change societal views of nuclear weapons,
Yeah.
because dismantling the nukes is like, it's not that hard to build a nuclear weapon.
That's true.
You need
the
like,
genie's out of the bottle, and you can't
you
just
need like a
force it back in.
secondary high explosive, 2 half shells of uranium, and you need to be
Right.
able to mill something down to 1,000th of an inch,
Yeah.
and then you've got the technology required to do it.
Yeah.
So it's not a terribly difficult thing to do. So I really think you just got to change societal views about
I
it.
think that most people's society's views on nuclear weapons are already, very anti-nuclear weapons, because they kind of have self-preservation that I don't want to get nuked. And everybody's on that thing, I don't want to get nuked. The only people who feel like having the nuclear weapons are, the state leaders, the ruling class themselves.
Well-
So those are the people whose minds to change, and that's why I'm talking about particularly the presidency and whoever's going to be running for the
Hold
presidency.
on, we've got a call here. Let's
Oh,
get in on this
sweet.
call.
We're going to say who it is? No, he'll say who it is. Say,
Hello, you're on the air. Thinking Liberty.
Ask who is
Hey,
it?
it's Jack.
It's
Hey.
Jack.
Jack
How
from
you guys
Altex.
doing tonight? I
We're
didn't mean to
doing well.
interrupt.
We're doing well. Yourself?
Oh, excellent. And speaking of thinking Liberty, I'm thinking Liberty Books right now. I'm at the Liberty Books bookstore in Concord, New Hampshire.
Oh, cool.
Fantastic. They have
Sitting
to
here
bring
with-
a gun to school day there.
Yeah? Oh, yeah, he carries your book, yeah. And I'm sitting here with the owner, Jim Dodson. Say hi, Jim.
Hi.
Hey.
Yeah, I have not Skyped before, but I guess this is my first chance, and I'm taking the opportunity.
Oh, well, it's good to
Fantastic.
hear from you. Thank you both for calling in. Thank you very much.
It's mostly Jack's doing. I just I don't want to get blamed for something I didn't do.
Well, we got both of you on now, so
Yeah.
you're both in it. You're both complicit.
I guess there's a sort of a conspiratorial thing going, huh? Oh my gosh.
So
Well,
you want a tough question?
A tough question, yeah. Nuclear weapons, what to do about it, right?
Yeah, you got an answer?
No.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a hard one.
it's a really tough one.
There was
Come the
I read,
revolution, we'll figure it out.
yeah, I read back issues of Formulations all the time because it's on libertariannation.org. I think it is libertariannation.org. And so they have this one particular issue of Formulations where I think it's Richard Hammer is talking about nuclear weapons and what exactly could you do in the age of ICBMs, nuclear weapons, and says, well, people who are for the existence of the state say that, well, even if you wanted anarchy, the nuclear weapons existence kind of, necessitates the existence of a state. So it breaks down what exactly does this argument prove that, okay, what kind of state is necessitated by the existence of nuclear weapons to maintain and do all these things. And so definitely check that out if you, any listener out there, check that out.
Jack, what did you want to talk about while you're on the air here?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll give like a short thing on the nuclear weapons thing. I mean, for me, it's actually not the question that we're faced with. In other words, we don't have control of them, and so we don't have the ability to dismantle them or any of that. That's all moot for us. But what we have the opportunity to do is just affect our peers, people around us. And so I start at the grassroots, and we're going to work from there to building a better society and trying to stop some of the horrible injustices. One man at a time, and woman.
And the market solution is the one I think. This is Jim again. I think that's the one to go for. There's a saying that if trade and goods don't cross borders, then soldiers will. And I think it's the same thing with bombs. I think if you can have people start to value each other as customers, and then maybe later they get friendships going, and then later they have connections where they never dreamed they'd have before. People get together and they value each other, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And I think the market way is the way to get people to value each other so much that they don't want to kill each other. What a nice thought.
Yeah.
That's a valid point.
That's good.
I've got a question for everybody actually about nuclear weapons. Do you think you would support sanctions or punishing someone for ownership of a nuclear weapon?
I'm sorry, I'm Jim again. No, I would not. I would say don't do that, because every time we put sanctions on somebody, it strengthens whoever is in power, who's the one who's probably going to have those weapons. So what I would say is, hey, let's trade. You got something we would love to buy, and we pay a fair market price within a voluntary interaction there. And then maybe you'll see something that you would like to purchase from us. And suddenly, you know what? It becomes a moot question. You put the guns down, you put the bombs aside, and then they get dusty, and people have to figure out what they'll do with them. But other things take precedence.
And what I'd exercise sanctions on people for is if they don't go to Pork Fest. Sanctions, serious sanctions.
Oh my gosh, I'm not.
I am looking forward to Pork Fest this year.
It's going to be a good Pork Fest this year.
It is.
Epic, as Curtis says. It's going to be epic.
Yes, Curtis will use the word epic as describing his Pork Fest. What day are you going to be at Pork Fest, Jack?
We're going to show up on Wednesday, the whole Alternatives Expo crew, or the Alt Expo.
All right.
And we have a tent for our event that's epic.
Yeah,
It's
big
a
new epic tent.
big tent, right? And we got some epic speakers, including your buddy there, Darian's going to give a talk.
Oh, yeah, I know that guy.
I've failed to respond to you, Jack, but that's an affirmative for me too on the time. 11 o'clock on Saturday works great for me.
Okay, yeah. We're going to publish the schedule soon. I keep saying that, but on the altexpo.org website. And we'll put it out all over Facebook and Free Agents and everywhere else.
And Alt Expo's a lot of fun. It's a hoot. There's a lot of great stuff you can see there.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to when you talk about dealing with your peers and improving society from the grassroots level. That's what we try to get involved in. Like, I've been in New Hampshire for quite a while before the Free State Project, so I've been hunting around for things I'm interested in and meeting people and all that. So after years of, finding folks, I invite them to give a talk so that the newcomers to New Hampshire can hear who's doing what in New Hampshire in the alternatives world, alternatives to the going to the State House and begging for your freedom.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's good stuff there.
Excellent stuff there.
So what else is going to be going on at the Alt Expo?
Well, you guys would be interested in this too. There's on Saturday at noon, there's going to be an Anarcho Summit. It's hard to say, an Anarcho Summit.
An Anarcho.
An Anarcho, yeah. And we're hoping that Stefan Molyneux is going to join us there, and anybody else at the Pork Fest who self-identifies as anarchist. It's not going to be a debating session with minarchists and, and all of that. We've done that a million times, all of us. So voluntarists, mutualists, agorists, you name it, of all stripes, meet up noon at campsite number 2 at Alt Expo at Pork Fest.
Cool. And what are they going to do?
Network.
That's an excellent thing to do.
You're going to work that net.
That's right. Bring your net.
Yeah, we only got a couple minutes left in the show, so what do we want to cover in the last few minutes?
Oh, I just wanted to put in my plug here, and I'm really glad to hear you guys are coming up, and it's going to be a rip-roaring good time. So come prepared to have fun. We have a few things to offer folks too, and that is we have camping space. If you're thinking you can't go because you can't get a campsite anymore, we rented extra space just for that. If you don't have any camping gear, we're going to have a half a dozen tents for sale or for rent. Cheapy ones from Walmart. Sorry to say Walmart. But you can come and just show up, and we'll take care of you at the Alt Expo tent.
Okay, and if people need to get in contact with you, what would be a good way for them to do that?
They can write me at jack@altexpo.org. That's ALTEXPO.org.
That's pretty simple.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for calling in, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Have a good night.
Thank you for that, Lore.
All right, so what do we want to mention before the show closes up?
Well, we just got a few minutes left. I am certainly looking forward to Pork Fest and Alt Expo. It'll be a great time.
It should be noted our next show is on Monday because of Pork Fest.
Yeah, and we will bring some equipment to record interviews at Pork Fest, so look for us. We want to talk to you, and we want to get other perspectives out there.
I will probably have some Thinking Liberty t-shirts, too. I'll definitely have some all t-shirts. So, if you see me at Pork Fest, hit me up. I can sell you a t-shirt.
And I'll bring some literature. Probably going to just give it to the Alt Expo and give it out and give people some reading material.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so this has been another production of Thinking Liberty. Are we good to go, guys? Anything we want to say before we're out?
Was that your end?
We need the big bombastic ending from their end.
Yeah,
Big bombastic ending?
The big bombast.
All
Go.
right, that's what we need?
Yeah.
All right, well, go out there, be free. Don't participate in tyranny. You got to get out there and just carve out freedom for yourself and for your friends. Carve it out. That's right.
Yeah,
Like a Liberty pumpkin.
Yeah, we're slow dancing in a burning room.
All right. That's all I got for now. Have a good night.
Good
Thanks
night.
for listening.
All right.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make her the cutest that I've ever seen. Give her 2 lips like roses and clover, and tell her that lonesome nights are over.